Yeah. End times. Guard your light. Yeah, yeah. Better than the world. Last days. Let's go. Hey, tryna get in that book of life. Had to repent cause I won't live and right. Gotta make haste cause ain't no coming back. Once you cross over to the other side. Yeah. Tryna get in that book of life. But I had to repent cause I won't live and right. Gotta make haste cause ain't no coming back. Once you cross over to the other side. No way, I'm tryna get in that book of life. Had to repent cause I won't live and right. Had to make haste cause ain't no coming back. Once you cross over to the other side. No way, no way, no way. Hey, I see that we at the end. How they gon' act like it ain't what it is? I be in Luke chapter 21. I see the signs, Yasha made it clear. Shadiah told me don't feed in the propaganda. I can already see it. My Akakami wide awake. All of my brews right here. Yeah. I keep bring out the scriptures in public. I rebuke a demon, I ain't running. We need deep in this truth, we ain't budging. Israelites ain't folded for nothing. Trust me when I say Messiah is coming. Cause I wouldn't say it if he was.
Shalom to all the Jews and Gentiles alike. Sending a strong shalom to the children of light. You already know what the deal is. All praises to the Most High. All praises to Ezekiel. All praises to Yahuwah Savayoth, the El Elyon of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yisrael, Yesharala, the Supreme Spirit. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Acknowledgement to our big brother, Yahushua, Hamashiach, Yahushai, Isa, Matzah the Lamb, the Lion from the tribe of Yehovah, the one they call Jesus Christ. So brethren, today we about to get into something spicy. Today we're getting into, of course, the keys of Enoch. Keys open doors. Alright? We get into key 303. We're talking about the whole light beings and those flying saucers in them skies. Alright, so strap in, lock in, and go ahead and get you some popcorn, man. Get you a little snack, alright? This is key 303 in the keys of Enoch, verse 4. From the councils of light, the whole light beings, as emissaries carrying the codes of limitless intercommunication between living star universes as a field of intelligence serving the life forms of the divine face wherever they may be found. Let's go down to verse 8, okay? In essence, this divine seed is the thought form pattern used by spiritual intelligence to evolve a given soul progression of consciousness out of the infinite possibilities available. And thus, the emissaries have been called to this holy calling to evolve the soul embodiments to greater levels of experience. They have been called on account of their faith, active in love, while others could not discharge the divine seed from the limitations of the body and mind until it had finished its complete cycle of planetary experience. Hence, the messenger whole light beings who cultivate the divine seed and aid in the completion of its program and of soul growth are emissaries because they understand the mystery of undoing all the seals which were used to bind the soul between each expansion of the universe. So the whole light beings, the entities on the other side, they gonna upgrade you. I mean, unless you want to be upgraded. That's why we need to purify ourselves in these last days, in these last times, because times is getting serious, y'all. For real. It's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. Alright? With this whole hokey pokey Squid Games snake bite thing that happened last year and the year before that, with this whole, mumbo jumbo convid, right? Things been going crazy. So the children of the light, the spiritual lights, we gotta buckle up, because it's about to get bumpy. All right, let's go down to verse 26. In special circumstances, divine intervention allows masters of light to directly interconnect with a soul program and speed up the spiritual education of a soul that is needed in other programs of light. Unfortunately, the negative drag on this end of our local universe is so overwhelming that in spite of all thousands of Buddhas and Christed masters, now pause. Now Buddha just means to wake, or it's, someone that is awake, right? So it's kind of the same word as like Christ, right? And we about to see, let's actually go into the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. All right, so the definition of Christ, and shout outs to Ivan H915 for getting me this book, by the way, and also shout outs to Allie. All right, so the definition for Christ: a name or title applied to Jesus of Nazareth. Jehovah of the Old Testament is the I Am, or Christ of God invisible. The Messiah is a promise of the visible manifestation of that I Am, or Christ, and Jesus Christ is the fulfillment in man of that original spiritual I Am, or Jehovah. Now let's see the meta definition. Christ is the divine idea man. Jesus is the name that represents an individual expression of the Christ idea. Jesus Christ is the form of the name that is commonly applied to the man of Galilee who demonstrated perfection. Christ Jesus is the idea that is being expressed by men as a result of their faith in an understanding of truth. Christ is the only begotten Son of God, or the one complete idea of perfect man in divine mind. He is the embodiment of all divine ideas, such as intelligence, life, love, substance, and strength. In the architect's mind, there may be one masterpiece, but that masterpiece is the sum of all the beautiful ideas that have come to his mind. This Christ, or perfect man idea existing eternally in divine mind, is the true spiritual higher self of every individual. I'm gonna read that again. I'm gonna read that again. This Christ, or perfect man idea existing eternally in divine mind, is the true spiritual higher self of every individual. Each of us has within him the Christ, just as Jesus had, and we must look within to recognize and realize our sonship, our divine origin and birth, even as he did. By continually unifying ourselves with the highest by our thoughts and words, we too shall become sons of the Most High. Manifests the cosmic man, or grand man of the universe, often referred to by religious mystics, is the Christ, and the Christ is the higher self of man. Thus, a seemingly great mystery is reduced to simple numbers. We do not realize the nearness of this cosmic man because we have not found our real selves. Jesus Christ educated his followers to discern the real man. He taught that there is a power in man that gives him authority over the things of the world. This principle is the higher self, the spiritual man, the Christ. If we would succeed, we must bring forth the principle. It gives dominion and mastery. Spiritual perception reveals to us that we are not persons, but factors in the cosmic mind. Reveal yourself to yourself by affirming, I am the Christ, Son of the living God. Now you see why the Pharisees freaked out when they heard Yahushua say these words. I bet if you go into the church today and say this, they're gonna do the exact same thing. They gonna freak out. They gonna say, oh, you being blasphemous. They go wild out. Because Yahushua knew who he was and what he was sent to do. Because knowledge of self is knowledge of your creator. Look at yourself, not as flesh and blood, but as Ruach, spirits. Alright, so there you go. That is the metaphysical definition of Christ. Alright, so let's go back to the keys. Verse 27. Unfortunately, the negative drag on this end of our local universe is so overwhelming that in spite of all thousands of Buddhas and Christed masters piercing the planetary veil of soul evolution, it is still necessary for the hierarchy to return and collectively externalize in order to take the righteous physicals with their soul vehicles off the planet through resurrection. They do this in order to prevent the soul from going back into imperfect spectrums of Omega. Let's just go to 29. And in order to help man cross his Alpha Omega threshold, the whole light beings carry the equations for limitless intercommunication. They work collectively, which is talking about the whole light beings. They work collectively to allow all spiritual intelligences to extend their consciousness activities throughout the entire spectrum, throughout all possible states of life, providing maintenance on all levels of education. Collectively, the whole light beings make concerted plans towards resolving interrelationships between the various zones of consciousness in the Father universe. They can recreate and direct a unified life system filled with a complex tapestry of interwoven affinities. As exemplaries of God's creative power, they manage not simply the economy of organic terrestrial nature, but a full cosmic economy for the benefit of the Father in the management of myriad levels of consciousness. This explains why there is no absolute predestination, but rather soul preconditioning that allows for many unique combinations of soul evolution and physical evolution to occur in every growth cycle. Alright, so let's go down to 35. Man, when he is evolved into the Adam Kadmon, can go on to inherit any of the worlds of light serving the Father. He is an intelligence destined to be more than flesh and blood. However, to go on to inherit the whole light bodies, man must first be able to use his garment of light to serve his fellow man before he can go on to the many different planes within the Father's hierarchy. So to get your Adam Kadmon body, your light body, you gotta purify yourself. Okay, you gotta do some work. Alrighty, so let's go to key 302 real quick. This also talks about the whole light beings, but also talks about something else. But we gonna get to it. All right. This is key 302 on page 353 in the Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch. All right. Verse 2. In the context of the key, we are to understand two major functions. 1. Matter waves have the ability to move faster than light. And 2. Muon waves are the falling particles of light as they fall from one geometry of creation to another. Metatron emphasized the use of matter and muon waves to move the spectrum vehicles of the physical brotherhoods through the spheres of influence of the electromagnetic sinks, enabling them to code their technology into physical universes at will. More specifically, matter and muon waves are first used by the Brothers of Light to measure the proportions of an electromagnetic sink, as well as parallel electromagnetic fields that exist between electromagnetic sinks. Let's hop to verse 45. After the matter-muon wave coupling is achieved through metatronic physics of a consciousness implant, consciousness can reside in a new body, no longer limited by the old material form. However, matter and muon wave combinations allow for variability in experimental universes using the ciphers of previous memory programs, which must be relearned and integrated with the renewing process of the mind of each creator God. 47. Unless we understand this consciousness creation in terms of other consciousness time zones, we remain in the weeping and gnashing of teeth in space isolation, without the understanding that we are not alone. Prepare your consciousness to recognize the appearance of whole light beings through the gifts of the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, the Ruach HaKodesh, for they represent your counterparts in the greater creation. Now let's go to key 205. We're going to hit verse 1. This key tells us that Earthman will be able to see and understand the appearance and morphology of higher spiritual intelligences who come from higher dimensions and are called whole light beings. They are not to be confused with non-human space intelligence from other physical worlds. Now let's go to verse 2. Let's go halfway into verse 2. These intelligences can assume any physical form necessary to operate in any given time-space sequence. In our consciousness time zone, they can appear in space vehicles. Space vehicles, creating pyramidal patterns of light in the sky. The onlooker will often see one of those expressions as 3 space vehicles flying in triangular formation.
Look, nothing in the sky at all. Then all of a sudden, bam! What is that? Anybody tell me what that is? We're in the middle of the ocean. On a ferry. Nothing around. Look. Nothing around. No land, no nothing.
Big fella over here had no idea what was going on. I'm telling you, these other nations, when they see this in the sky, oh, they going crazy. Okay? And that's why they spending so much money on these movies. I'm telling you, this Star Trek stuff, this Star Wars, these sci-fi flicks, all of it's real. All of it's real because they got our scriptures. They got it. They know what is going on. That's why they had to create the Space Force, because when them joints pop in the sky, oh, they gonna try to tussle. They gonna try to tussle with our brothers and sisters in the celestial realm. Oh, they tripping. They tripping. Anyways, let's go get a precept. Let's go to key 301, verse 52. During space maneuvers, typically can appear as a pulsating pyramid, a pentagon, or a Star of David. In addition, The higher evolution has flight patterns which go through multiple tracings of light through complicated triangular coordinates. They do this to key into certain time periods of the species' growth and development. They generally appear in the lower heavens, which is down here, as 3 vehicles in triangular formation. However, the Merkabah vehicles actually work with high frequency vehicle counterparts existing in a companion energy stream so that they balance each other when entering and leaving the electromagnetic and gravitational density of the planets. All right, so let's go back to key 205, verse 3. These vehicles operate as wheels within wheels, whereby one inner wheel of technology is surrounded by an outer wheel having energy portals. Verse 4. The inner wheel becomes an inner pyramid when entering various realms of space habitation, and this pyramid, by changing its faces into any color spectrum, is capable of screening different forms of intelligence for species identification and communication. The color screening of various realms is necessary because each species is organized on different rays of light. The color cap is also added over the vehicle's geometries for a greater multiplexity of function, such as to bring out the magnetic features that have to be crossed when the vehicle is interacting with different spectrums of intelligence. Okay, for the higher intelligence to cross our light threshold, it must cross over a multitude of magnetic thresholds. This is done by sending out different levels of light to measure by different color sets the volume, the depth, and space of a given magnetic field that the vehicle crosses. And in order to establish communication, it is necessary that these Merkabah vehicles of light use pyramidal color caps to adapt their energies to whatever radiation of color their vehicle is traveling through. Let's go down to verse 10. Therefore, the minds of the brotherhood within the vehicle change the central conic section, which in turn changes the whole structure of the vehicle, enabling it to shift directly into a new planetary light sphere as it crosses into new light zones. Now let's get a precept. Let's get a precept from Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 19 to 21. And it reads, "And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went. And when those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels." Now let's go back to the keys. Back to key 205, verse 12. This key explains how wheels of technology, modulated by thought waves from sun universes, can visit the outer limits of our galaxy and communicate through faces of pyramids. These are not three-dimensional geometries of inanimate matter, but multi-dimensional pyramidal combinations which form the inner wheel of the Merkabah vehicle. These multi-dimensional pyramidal combinations include what Enoch calls triangular bipyramids, which are pyramids connecting at the baseline so as to revolve as a sphere. Okay? Now we're gonna take a look at this illustration here, and as you can see, this is these are the bipyramidal command vehicles. All right, looking like something out of Star Trek or Star Wars. Alrighty, now let's go down to verse 15. Furthermore, the triangular bipyramids control the negative mass, which provides a mechanism for the direct interaction among different levels of organized matter fields in our local universe. They are capable of controlling the space-time singularities that are located within many white holes and many black holes everywhere in our local universe, which allow them to move from the exterior of three-dimensional universes to the interior of hyperspace universes and vice versa. But bipyramids are limited to the frequencies that surround the lower planetary systems, and therefore are not able to work with more than two categories of intelligence simultaneously. Therefore, the bipyramids are used to administer the cosmic law to the lower heavens, and yet they are limited in their navigation. The bipyramids do allow evolutionary creation to connect with the next ordering of evolution, enabling one life system to move directly into the next stepping stone in the greater evolution. Therefore, the triangular bipyramid is one of the forms expressing the Merkabah. It nurtures God-level growth to God-level 1 status among the planetary intelligences on the outer edges of their respective galaxies, which are biological testing zones. Next on the order of expressing the Merkabah intelligence are the tri-pyramids, which are pyramids that connect at a central capstone so as to fuse pyramidal structures into one energy manifold. Let's go down to verse 24. However, throughout infinite space and time, new kinetic energy is continually being created and conserved by the tri-pyramids. They must interface momenta units in order to allow intelligence to use one particular type of energy source to go from one or several levels of one consciousness body of time directly into other time zones. This allows vehicle intelligence to leave its galaxy and to travel to other galaxies in its father universe, carrying out the will of the Council of Light. Alright, so let's take a look at these tri-pyramidal command vehicles. As you can see, looking like something out of Star Wars, something out of Star Trek. Man, oh my goodness. Looking like something straight out of a movie here. Alright, so let's go to verse 28. Thus, the Merkabah vehicle that carries tri-pyramids is used only by the Lords of Light to advance civilizations and to form new galactic federations. They are able to collectively advance at the end of a given cycle of creation, independent levels of living intelligence that occupy the same life space yet live in different electromagnetic spectrums. This advancement is unique because it allows the various levels of intelligence to be coordinated together for the first time, allowing them all to see that their different levels of civilizations are linked physically and consciously together as a unified intelligence. Let's go down to verse 33. These beings represent the coordination of the galactic commands of Michael, Metatron, and Melchizedek. These bodies come together as a unit to form a governing pyramid of knowledge. The vehicle, by changing its color capstone and matching a new color spectrum with a given hyperspace, can overlap one galactic dimension with another without having to travel along a singular dimension, taking thousands of light years. Just to travel from one galaxy to another. In summary, the triangular bipyramid and tripyramid are essential parts of a giant brain network, for they are working with several space thresholds and have the capacity of universal communications and reprogramming for multiple dimensions of intelligence. Alright, so on the other page here, we got the light station, or the OR station, which is a programming center of lights. Alright, so let's go to verse 38. In the lower planetary dimensions, where a physical manifestation for the initiate is the only reality link with other intelligence, the matter energy beings within these vehicles create the function of transvirulence to energize the body of the initiate and biolocate his body into the vehicle's environment through the energy portals, where the subject is provided with knowledge to serve his reality link. Those from this planet who will proceed to other star evolutions will mostly be taken through bipyramidal and tripyramidal manifestations of the Merkabah of light. However, since this is the completion of a grand cycle of evolutionary change, the higher evolution, which uses the tripyramid, has the final say as to the arrangement of how bipyramidal and tripyramidal intelligence cooperate in space. Now let's find out what is transvirulence. Let's get that definition, shall we? let's get that definition, because this is straight out of a movie. Like, when y'all see the verse there in verse 38 kind of gave you a description on what it is, but you're gonna see how these movies are just spewing out so much truth. Alright, definition of transvirulence: immediate teleportation of subject material to and from the high frequency vehicles of the Brotherhood. So that light that comes out that UFO is the transvirulence. Let's get a quick preset. Let's go to key 301.57. Thus, those who believe in the Father's will and desire to work with the Brotherhood are those who will feel tremendous energy changes in their bodies, for they are being chemically respatialized to live in a more active light environment. No longer will it be said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. For the flesh and the spirit will be one highly charged body of light. In circumstances where a physical body is taken in a physical vehicle, the vehicle intelligence places this light energy field around you, and you are immediately projected inside the vehicle through the system they call transvirulence. Alright, so let's go back to key 205, verse 40. The bipyramids and the tripyramids are the keys to future cosmological forms that are able to bridge the different galactic societies. They should not, however, be seen as the be-all or end-all. Rather, they are the essential facings for the unfoldment of higher evolutionary technology with planetary societies. Let's go down to verse 43. In other words, the creation of time warps by the Merkabah vehicle allows other vehicles used by the Brotherhood of Light called spectrum vehicles to cross the human light life spectrum and encode their intelligence into any spectrum embodiment of light in the lower worlds. Alright, so let's get the definition of spectrum vehicles. Alrighty. Spectrum vehicle, one form of the Merkabah vehicle that can go faster than the speed of light and cross over the electromagnetic spectrum. So the spectrum vehicles can come and they can scan you and see what vibration you are at. And we read that back in verse 4 of Key 205, and I'm gonna go back and read it again. Verse 4, the inner wheel becomes an inner pyramid when entering various realms of space habitation. And this pyramid, by changing its faces into any color spectrum, is capable of screening different forms of intelligence for species identification and communication. Alright, so for example, if you angry or you upset, right, you're gonna give off a different color. So let's say you give off the color red, all right, because that's a low vibration. Anger is a low vibration. The color screening of various realms is necessary because each species is organized on different rays of light. So we got the tri-pyramids, the bi-pyramids, the spectrum vehicles, and another one that I would like to add is the biosatellites. All right, so let's get the definition for biosatellite. A living vehicle of space architecture which can repair itself in the course of time travel and is used for consciousness transposition and planting colonizing activities within the intergalactic regions served by the higher evolution. Now let's get the definition for motherships. We gotta get the motherships. We gotta get the motherships. Definition of motherships: any category of vehicle transportation which can support a host of smaller space vehicles and also has the ability to land and operate on planetary surfaces as a city. In the local universe, the mothership is used to transport a host of spectrum vehicles through the different light thresholds within the mega orders of creation. Now let's go to verse 44. However, before other vehicles can enter, the Merkabah must first come into our light life zone through rotational circumversion, a process of separating the magnetic structure of our electromagnetic field and create an artificial time warp. So let's get the definition for artificial time warp, but we're gonna get artificial time warp zone because we're gonna see that later in the next verse that we're gonna tackle. All right. Artificial time warp zone, unusual space-time anomaly created by the Brotherhoods of Light or higher intelligence for operations within the structure of the planet. A non-natural typology for an opening or time tunnel to specific areas where an artificial environment is sustained. Now let's go down to verse 47. Thus, the Merkabah vehicles of light descend upon our planet, whereby a field of light is opened, and whole light beings descend as the magnetic fields of the space-time overlap are controlled. These whole light bodies come down to the artificial time warp zones and land upon the face of the earth. And this is what the ancients beheld when they saw the pillar of the cloud go up from before their face. Now let's get a precept out of Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4 to 5. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof was the color of amber. Out of the midst of the fire Verse 5, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. So this is what they were seeing in them skies, and we're going to find out later in this lesson that Solomon and Abraham saw the same thing. But first, let's hit verse 55. We got to get the definition for space-time overlap, all right? Verse 55 in the keys. This changing of a species distribution capacities and the varying parameters of its objective reality takes place through what the higher evolution calls a space-time overlap. Let's get the definition for space-time overlap. All right, where is it? Did I lose my spot? All right, I did not. All right. So we're going to read the first definition of space-time overlap. The overlap of different levels of intelligence with their respective consciousness domains. In the greater universe, higher intelligence can move through space between 3-dimensional sets into coordination with intelligence of any other space-time set. Let's go to verse 56. After the whole light beings physically materialize on planets, they are able to return to their original energy form because their pyramidal modes of creative activity have already been established on the original frequency of light. Therefore, in this key, we are told how the Ophanim, the messengers of light, come through spirals of advanced orders of intelligence on a scale of what we call the 5th dimension on up to the 24th dimension of our sun universe. So they are from the 5th dimension and we are on the 3rd dimension, and you can go up to the 24th dimension. Verse 58. Through an energy wheel within wheel, bipyramids and tripyramids create spiral openings, and through rotational circumversion open up time warp zones by pyramidal geometries which encode bipyramid and tripyramid coordinates within our level of creation. This is the creation of an artificial time warp zone. 59. The messengers of light have the ability to create an artificial time warp zone to liberate man, even in his physical flesh, from being trapped in his black and white spirals of energy. But man, without his own spiritual consciousness, read that again, but man, without his own spiritual consciousness, body will only return to incarnate again and again as a sub-Adamic intelligence. All right, so let's get a precept in key 301, verse 36, and we're gonna go down to 37. This experience of the wheel within wheel can be received in many different forms, from that of the spiritual body of light, a spiritual vehicle of light as a pure energy vehicle, or a space technology. Pause. So the Merkabah not only can be the space vehicles from the higher intelligences, but also your body. Okay, I'm read it again. This experience of the wheel within wheel can be received in many different forms, from that of the spiritual body of light, a spiritual vehicle of light as a pure energy vehicle, or a space technology that has instant acceleration with power to travel at 2.9 times or more the speed of light as defined by man. 37. And once man has evolved into a greater understanding of light, he will also use equations of spiritual energy, which will allow him the facility of space travel to other universes and receive the consciousness education and teachings that the higher evolution desires to share with our planetary society. So basically, the whole goal is so that you get your light body, your Merkabah body, so you can graduate to other worlds. So we gotta keep the vibration high and not low. Let's go to key 301, verse 4. Merkabah appears in a multiplicity of forms. It can be seen as a pure energy envelope of light associated with the work of a master, as well as a manifestation of extraterrestrial technology of light, for which reason it is called a vehicle of vehicles. Merkabah is a vehicle which can take on any membrane or color appearance to correspond with you and guide you into other experiences of creation. Merkabah creates and controls time translation and is the hookup or overlap between dimensions of light. Through this hookup, the various light thresholds which interlace the galaxies are connected, allowing vehicles to travel between the various dimensions of light. So let's go back to key 20, where we at? Key 205, verse 65. In summary, the Merkabah shows man how to use a universal language of multi-level instruction through its intricate maneuvers and the star keys which they leave behind. Their language is a language of light, which communicates to any creation through light graphics and pulsations. Through this language, man acquires an understanding of the levels of higher intelligences. Oftentimes, this is accomplished by beaming a message across the vehicle so that as the pyramidal control starts to spin, all four faces of consciousness mapping can be seen at the same time, as in the experience of Ezekiel. When all four faces of the vehicle are seen together, one understands the complete program of the star probe. Alright, so let's get a precept. Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 15, as it reads, "Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with his four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went." Now let's go to the Apocalypse of Avraham, chapter 18, verse 3. "And it did not cease from the plenitude of the fire, and as the fire rose up, soaring to the highest point, I saw under the fire a throne of fire, and many-eyed ones round about, reciting the song under the throne. 4 fiery living creatures. 4 fiery living creatures, singing, and the appearance of each of them was the same, each having 4 faces. And this was the aspect of their faces: of a lion, a man, of an ox, and of an eagle." Let's go down to verse 12. "And while I was still standing and watching, I saw behind the living creatures a chariot with fiery wheels. Each wheel was full of eyes round about, and above the wheels was the throne which I had seen, and it was covered with fire, and the fire encircled it round about, and an indescribable light surrounded the fiery crowd, and I heard the voice of their sanctification, like the voice of a single man." So even Father Abraham laid eyes on those Merkabah vehicles, those chariots. Now let's go to 1 Kings chapter 7 verse 33, and it reads, "And the work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. Their axle trees and their naves and their felloes and their spokes were all molten. And there were 4 undersetters to the 4 corners of one base, and the undersetters were of the very base itself." Now let's go back to the keys. Key 205, verse 67. "The face of the bull as it is seen in the scriptures of Ezekiel, represents Taurus Orion, which in ancient astronomy gives the origin of the Merkabah vehicle as coming from Orion. The lion face shows the probe of our sun system by the Merkabah vehicle. In the higher evolutionary astronomy, a lion solar face represents a population 1 system on the edge of a greater central sun. The eagle face, in terms of the ancient scroll, tells us that the probe is exploring our galaxy and represents by its outstretched wings the enormous spiral arms of an SB or SC series galaxy. Another face will have the appearance of man, but does not constitute the substance of an earthling. The face in the likeness of man shows the overlap carried from higher evolutionary creation to the human evolutionary creation. So all 4 faces come together, giving the similitude needed in coordinate the species to go from the image of its dragon-like entropy to the image of positive centropy, the dove, as creation fully manifested and redeemed. Let's go down to verse 77. The higher intelligence can and will select the physical beings who will continue to go on to other planetary worlds where physical bodies are required. But those physicals who will be taken in these Merkabah vehicles will have loved and served their fellow man and will love whatever species the Father would assign them to. Most physicals continuing in the purified physical form will be used to see life after their own kind, so as to nurture respect for the Adamic image on other physical planes. Others will be advanced to higher vibratory forms corresponding to the level of soul growth. Man will understand why the verity of the lower heavens requires the Merkabah to pick up communications only from a son or a daughter of light with corresponding vibrations. This is why our vibration gotta be high. It gotta be high. As the newest member of the hierarchy of the Ophanim, man will use the salutations of an extended hand vibrating the star codes of the throne, greeting the angelic commanders and the brotherhoods with Kadush, 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 Adonai, Sabayos. So when you see those Merkabah vehicles, those chariots, those wheels within wheels in the sky, you gonna know what time it is. Our brothers and sisters on the other side, the whole light beings, the brotherhood, the higher intelligences, coming back for their star seeds. So we got to get into high vibration, brethren. So when the entities come back, we gonna be ready. If that job stressing you out, let it go. Let it go. We got bigger fish to fry. Chasing money and chasing fame is not what we here for. Okay? Them Hebrews in those camps, they gotta let go of that anger and that hatred for Esau. Cause that's all they talk about all day is Esau, Esau, Esau. That's it. That's all the destruction of Esau. They gonna be whipping Esau. Nah, y'all gotta let that go. We gotta let go of these low vibrational behaviors. And the Gentiles, they're gonna get their judgment either way. It's all good. Just let it go. The cosmic law gonna handle it. Let's go to key 105, and we're about to find out and see how the 12 islands, the 12 areas where the brotherhood, the entities, the higher intelligences, the Merkabah is going to be landing at. All right, so key 105, verse 46. The 12 artificial time warp islands of light will be formed out of the oceans and seas as great interlocking circles connected with the polar areas. Now let's go to key 215, verse 70. Accordingly, the 12 energy grid areas for space-time transcription and areas of proto-communication established by the conversion of each tribe of Yisrael, of Yasharallah, for the watch and deliverance of the present program from the treasury of light. Now these are the areas. The first one, the Aerial Sea Kongrad, which is the Uzbekistan, I think I said that right. The Takala Makin Lopnor, Singkang, the Philippine Islands, the Kwajalein Marshall Islands, the Hawaiian Islands, Vancouver Island area of the Dove. So this is also in the Americas. All right, from Pueblo, Colorado to Mescalero Reservation of New Mexico, which is also area of the Dove. From Lexington, Kentucky to Tennessee, which is also marked by the Dove. Nova Scotia, also in the Dove, connecting with the Bermuda Islands and Azores, Ladures, France, and Giza, the pyramid in Egypt. And as you can see on the screenshot here, we got all the areas on the map. And if you look at America, you see the two little triangles there, right, on the top of the Dove, because America is the land of the Dove. This is the great land of the West. And if you know anything about the eclipse in was it 2024, it marks an X on America. Okay, that is where New Jerusalem, USA is landing. So when the tri-pyramids and bi-pyramids pop up, those Merkabah vehicles pop up, those 12 portals gonna be activated. That's gonna be the initiation of our graduation. That's why we gotta purify ourselves. That's why we gotta stay in high vibration. Okay, we can't be sad and depressed and have this anger and this hatred and this. We gotta cut that out. We gotta cut that out. We gotta be at a higher vibration. All right. But before we see these pillars in the sky, there is going to be a sign. Remember to get that sign in Helaman, chapter 14 and verse 3. And it reads, "And behold, this will I give unto you for a sign at the time of his coming. For behold, there shall be great lights in heaven." Great lights in heaven. The pillars of light. Great lights in heaven. Insomuch that in the night before he cometh, there shall be no darkness. Insomuch that it shall appear unto man as if it was day. Verse 4. Therefore, there shall be one day, and a night, and a day, as if it were one day, and there was no night. And this shall be unto you for a sign, for ye shall know of the rising of the sun, and also of its setting. Therefore, they shall know of a surety that there shall be 2 days and a night. So there's going to be one day, one night, and another day, but there will be absolutely no night. So it's going to be like 10 p.m. and it's going to be bright outside. Okay? Nevertheless, the night shall not be darkened, and it shall be the night before he is born. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 6, and it reads, "And at midnight, there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him." So when that sign comes, and when these pillars come down, that's going to be the gathering of the children of light, the children of Israel. All right, and the Gentiles that are cleaving to this truth. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, 4th Esdras, chapter 7, verse 26. For behold, the time will come when the sign which I foretold to you will come to pass. The city, the pillars, which now is not seen, shall appear, and the land which now is hidden shall be disclosed. Let's get a precept. Key 316, verse 105. Some will see, and some will not see the whole light being, depending on whether their brain is sensitized and their consciousness is prepared to accept the non-physical reality of a whole light being, which may at first produce the surprising features of emotional and biological shock. Let's go to key 309, verse 44. The light will probe the face of the earth and will pick up the vibratory light crystal of the Christ blood coated upon the doorpost of the body temple of Gematria. This is speaking on when the entities come in those Merkabah vehicles to scan you and see if you have a high frequency to get your light body. And when it says Gematria, you have 5 overself bodies. Gematria is one of them. All right. Verse 45. Great streaks of light, the pillars of light, will be seen in the sky over the chambers of the earth, where the righteous will be gathered. These chambers will be located along the ancient grids used by the Brotherhood and will appear as island clusters of light in the oceans and as community centers of light upon the land. These communities will be a beacon of light and a signal of hope to all mankind during the transition of our planet. And this is the thing, right? These other nations, these Gentiles, they not gonna know what the heck going on. Okay, ain't no CNN, ABC, CNBC gonna cover this up, because you're gonna be seeing this all over the place. Okay, you're gonna be seeing this all over the place. Okay, you're gonna know about when you walk outside. All right, verse 47. Man will suddenly see all 12 faces, the 12 pillars of light, of his consciousness time zone spiral before him, and he will understand how he is a microcosm which will ascend into the Father universe through the living light. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 8. Drop down, ye heavens from above. Drop down, ye heavens, the pillars, and let the skies pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, the Lord, the Most High, have created it. So as you can see, even in Isaiah, we getting some precepts here. We getting some more understanding here. See, and this is why you cannot stay stuck in one book. This is why you cannot stay within the Bible, because the Bible is coded and all the information is scattered throughout all these other books. This is key 105, verse 50. People who are to be brought into these areas will be transfigured, transformed, to go on with the galactic seed, the entities, the higher intelligences. Okay? People who are to be brought into these areas will be transfigured to go on with the galactic seed, already in the image of the Lamb, given in the galactic key of the Pleiades. And their seed in the physical flesh will then be like the stars of heaven. They will take the Exodus. They will take the Exodus to other star systems in order to begin a new Genesis in the next ordering of creation. Even in the sealed portion, it says, for those that take part in the celestial kingdom, they're gonna go on and make new worlds. All right? So you gotta get your vibration high. All right? So the food that you eating, that meat, you gotta cut out that meat. You gotta get on that vegetable diet. All right? So some of y'all gonna have to give up that meat. I know it's hard, but y'all gotta give up that meat. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1, and verse 29. And the Most High said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, and verse 17. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is, than a stalled ox. Ox is the meat, and hatred therewith. All right, so let's go back to the pillars of lights. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 13, and verse 21, and it reads, And the Lord, the Most High, went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud, to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and night. So the Most High is using the pillars of light to lead the children of Israel. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 19, and it reads, And the angel of the Most High, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. So the pillar was not only used to lead them, but also to protect. Let's go back to Key 309. Let's go to verse 43. And when the harvest is proclaimed, the righteous physicals with the sign of Yahuwah's name upon their third eye shall be taken up from their field. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and verse 3, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads, in their third eye. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 40. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. So I did a video about a few months ago, and we're talking about the taken and the left. The one that is taken is killed, and the one that is left is saved. So there is actually, in fact, two exoduses, two gatherings for those that miss the pillars of light. This one is going to be for them because the earth is going to be cleansed. The wicked are going to be swept off the land. They're going to be taken. They're going to be destroyed. And the other righteous are going to be left. The ones that missed the 12 pillars. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, 4th Ezra, chapter 13. Let's go halfway to, 47. Therefore, you saw the multitude gathered together in peace. But those who are left of your people, who are found within my holy borders, shall be saved. Therefore, when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he will defend the people who remain, and then he will show them very many wonders. Let's go to 2nd Baruch, chapter 30. Let's go halfway into 2. And it will happen at that time that those treasuries will be opened, those pillars of light, in which the number of the souls of the righteous were kept. And they will go out, and the multitudes of the souls will appear together in one assemblage of one mind. And the first ones, which are the ones that take part in the first gathering, the first exodus, the pillars, the first ones will enjoy themselves. And the last ones, the ones that did not make it to the pillars, and the last ones will not be sad, for they know that the time has come, of which it is said that it is the end of times. But the souls of the wicked will the more waste away when they shall see all these things, for they know that their torment has come, and that their perditions have arrived. Let's go to the apocalypse of Elijah, chapter 5, verse 7. And on that day the earth will be disturbed, and the sun will darken, and peace will be removed from the earth. The birds will fall on the earth dead. The earth will be dry. the waters of the sea will dry up. The sinners will groan upon the earth, saying, what have you done to us, O son of lawlessness? Saying, I am the Christ, when you are the devil? You are unable to save yourself, so that you might save us. You produce signs in our presence until you alienated us from the Christ who created us. Woe to us, because we listened to you. Lo, now we will die in a famine, where indeed is now the trace of a righteous one, and we will worship him. Or where indeed is the one who will teach us, and we will appeal to him. Now indeed we will be wrathfully destroyed, because we disobeyed the Most High. We went to the deep places of the sea, and we did not find water. We dug in the rivers and papyrus reeds, and we did not find water. So let's get a glimpse on what this Adam Kadmon body is going to look like. This light body is going to look like. We're going to get that in Apocalypse of Abraham, chapter 11. And I'm going to start from the top. And I stood up and saw him who had taken my right hand and set me on my feet. The appearance of his body was like sapphire. So it was like a purplish blue. And the aspect of his face was like chrysolite, which is actually a green. All right. And if you look at the chakras, the top chakras are green, blue, and purple. There's no red here. Okay. And the hair of his head like snow. So it's like as if he's glowing, right? He's glowing bright. Yo, Adam Kadmon body is glowing, is shining. All right. And a kedaris, which is actually a turban, and his turban was on his head. It looked that of a rainbow. So it's like almost as if it's a halo. If you look at these old paintings with Yeshua on them, you see that light behind him, right? It's like a halo, right? That goes to show that he unlocked that crown chakra. And he said to me, Avraham, and I said, here is your servant. And he said, let my appearance not frighten you, nor my speech trouble your soul. All right, so that's going to be it for this video, for this little lesson. Hopefully you learned something new. You were munching on something. I say shalom and stay strong.